Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Dolly Varden Silver Corp's live investment summit today, hosted by Six. We are joined today by Shawn Khunkhun, CEO, President, and Director, and Robert von Egmond, Chief Geologist. Shawn and Robert will walk us through a company presentation, and then we will be accepting questions live. So reminder to submit your questions at any time on the Q&A panel on the right-hand side of the screen, and we will get to them after the presentation. And as always, the summit is being recorded and will be available to watch afterwards on six.com. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to you, Shawn, to get it started.
Thank you so much, Dasha. I think you pronounced my last name better than I even do, so congratulations on that. Very excited and happy to be here. Very happy to present the Dolly Varden opportunity to the Six audience and beyond. It's a special story. It's an exciting story, and really happy to walk you through it here. So Dolly Varden Silver, we trade on the TSX Venture under symbol DV. We also trade in the US under symbol DOLLF. We've got a stock that's it's quite liquid compared to peers and compared to comparables in terms of market cap. We are on a quest for 100 million pure high-grade silver ounces in BC's Golden Triangle. We'll walk you through some of our plans for that. We will be making some forward-looking statements, so a cautionary note on that. So looking at Dolly Varden, we have 100% interest of the Dolly Varden project located in the Golden Triangle in Northwest BC. What's special about the project, unlike a lot of our peers who report silver equivalents, this is a pure silver play. It's very, very rare and very special in that regard. There was a resource published in 2019. There are 44 million ounces of silver in all categories. At approximately 300 grams per ton, and the bulk of those ounces in the indicated category. The property has a very, very rich mining history. It's produced over 20 million ounces of high-grade silver, predominantly from the Torbert mine. So this was a mine that produced in the 1950s, over 18 million ounces of silver at Torbert at almost 500 grams per ton. So considering what's left at Torbert in the resource and what was produced, Torbert represented about a 56 million ounce silver mine. So, you know, we're on a quest for another Torbert, but as you'll see throughout the presentation, there's multiple styles of mineralization and multiple opportunities to accumulate to that 100 million ounce target. Starting off with our capital structure. So we've got a very relatively tight share structure in terms of ownership. Starting with just under 20%, you've got renowned silver investor, precious metals investor Eric Sprott, who has been very supportive of the company, owning just under 20%. You've got a corporate shareholder in Helca Mining. Helca has been producing precious metals for over 100 years. And is committed both to Dolly Varden, but also the area at large. They've got some large holdings just to the east of our property. And then the institutional side, about 50% of the stock is held in very, very well-known precious metals institutional investors. So all in all, between management, Eric Sprott, Helca, and those precious metals institutions, you've got a big block of the stock in very tight hands. As I did mention, you know, there's tremendous liquidity in the stock. And in terms of treasury, we've got a healthy treasury with over $20 million in the bank. So this is an area map, sometimes referred to as the Golden Horseshoe. And as you can see in the southern part of the Golden Triangle, just south of Ascot's Red Mountain and Premier Mine, you can find the Dolly Varden project. And as we look up to the north, Bruce Jack, KSM, SK Creek, these are some of the richest, highest grade precious metals mines in the world. And then as we go further north, you've got the Red Chris, and we've seen a flurry of activity in the Golden Triangle just to the north of Red Chris. Recently, GT Gold was acquired by Newmont for almost 500 million in cash. Closer to the Dolly Varden project, we've seen Yamana come into Ascot with a $20 million bought deal financing acquiring 6%. So Ascot is turning back the Premier mine back into production. We've had recent success, probably most notably with Brucejack, Pretium's Brucejack mine. So we've got a flurry of activity. Skeena's successfully grown Eskay Creek from a $35 million market cap about a year and a half ago to a market cap that exceeds $500 million. So this is an area that has been validated by majors like Newmont, Newcrest, Teck, and we've also seen a lot of success from juniors to mid-tiers. Zooming into the area again, we've got the Golden Triangle here, and we've got the Dolly Varden project just south of the town of Stewart. And if we zoom into that over here on the left, you can see Dolly Varden is sandwiched in between Fury's Homestake Ridge, which is about 1 million ounces of gold, 18 million ounces of silver, as you can see along this Homestake trend. And that's where our 44 million ounces of high-grade silver is situated. And then we've got another trend to the east here that's controlled and identified in blue here, which is Hecla. And this slide also articulates some of the good infrastructure, which includes power lines, tremendous access. We've identified a road that comes right onto the property from Alice Arm. So unlike some of our neighbors in the north that are hindered by tough topography or a lack of infrastructure, what's really most notable in this area is just the tremendous infrastructure. Zooming in, we've outlaid our claims here, showing you some of the topography, and again articulating there's many ways into the project. So there's a road here from Kitsault that goes to Terrace. We've noted it's about 170 kilometers away. Again, deep water seaport access, power. So these are all hallmarks and are very important as we move Dolly Varden towards more advanced production decisions. And this is a tremendous vehicle for leverage for rising silver prices. Last year, we saw the silver price increase in value by 44%. It's one of the best performing metals in the commodity complex. Dolly Varden outperformed that by about 3x. So we've proven, if you go back into the history of silver equities relative to the price of the underlying commodity, you're seeing about an outperformance of about 300%. So this is why investors and speculators have taken to silver miners and silver explorers and developers because of that leverage. Our project is located in Canada. So we're seeing a shift in some Latin American countries to left-leaning governments where more socialism and more anti-mining sentiments are taking over some of our southern neighbors. And one of the great elements here is that we're located in Canada, a strong mining jurisdiction with stable laws. The other feature is we're a high-grade project. This is, notably one of the top 5 projects in terms of grade. We've got a management team that has worked for majors, has sold companies to majors. So we've got a diverse group of managers and at the board level. We've got high level of institutional and strategic ownership. We've got a nice cornerstone resource, and we control a big path for growth. And just looking at that management team, so we've got a brilliant team of scientists that are made up of engineers, geologists that know the nuances of the Golden Triangle, have had success with M&A transactions, selling companies like Dolly Varden to larger entities. We've also got directors that have worked for some of the largest precious metals companies and some of the big silver-focused companies like Coeur and Hecla and Anglo, to name a few. I will now turn over to our Chief Geologist, Rob Van Egmond, and he'll take you through some of the opportunities of the coming season.
All right, thanks, Shawn. I'll start off with a property view here. We have in green the Hazelton group. So the the big feature about our project is that the deposits are hosted in the Hazelton Group, a Jurassic package of volcanics and sediments. And this is the same package of rocks and age that hosts most of the large deposits within the Golden Triangle, such as Eskay Creek. It was formed during the Jurassic time at the Eskay Rift. So the mineralization that is stratabound that we have on the property was formed at the same time as Eskay. And you can see here the black dots are all our showings within the Hazelton Group. It's all confined to the Hazelton Group. So we're in that package of rocks, the right time and the right stratigraphy. The resource that we have is made up of 4 deposits that are shown on this map, the little red dots. We have Wolf, Torbert, North Star, and Dolly Varden. The breakdown of our resource here is, as Shawn mentioned before, the majority of it is indicated. We have historic drilling to rely on, plus we've done quite a bit of drilling around the deposits in the last 5 years. You can note here that Torbert has the majority of our silver ounces, and that's because it is a combination of a strata-bound volcanogenic style mineralization, and then later cross-cut by high-grade silver epithermal veins. So this is pure silver. We're not reporting silver equivalents. There is a little bit of lead and zinc, as in a lot of volcanogenic sulfide deposits. The lead and zinc is helpful in that we can create a concentrate. So we've done some metallurgical testing. You can see at the bottom there, and the lead is where the silver reports to. So it's a lead concentrate, and that's amiable for sale at refineries. This is a side view of the Torbert deposit, so it just shows the width of it. It's about a 250 meter long deposit, and it's like an ice cream scoop. The mineralization formed within sort of a basin with bounding faults, and then once it was covered up with more volcanic ash, there was an epithermal event that cross-cutted it and brecciated it and augmented the silver grades. So you can see on this drawing here the workings from 1949 to 1959, where Shawn mentioned the 18 million ounces have been pulled out. It's about 150 meters vertical, but you can see the red is our mineralizing envelope, and the rest of the resource is still has been untouched. So we've done some drilling based on structural reinterpretation of the deposit, and we've found offsets to the north and to the south that were missed by the miners in the 50s. So it's a long-lived mining camp, but there's still a lot of discoveries to be made both near the deposit and along the trend. So these are just some examples of the kinds of new discoveries that we're still making in this 100-year-old mining camp. Torbert offsets, so we're looking at fairly wide intercepts, 21 to 40 meters of 430 grams, 300 grams. So it's a wide and high-grade deposit. There's some new discoveries away from the deposit, mainly epithermal veins that are kind of radiating out from the main source. Moose Lamb vein is something near the Torbert deposit, and it's coming up along one of these bounding faults. 7 meters of almost 400 grams silver, so it's high grade and pure silver. And then the step out holes at Torbert we did last year, we're starting to focus a little bit on improving Torbert and getting to know exactly the extents of it. It's still open to the south and to the east, so we're been drilling our step out and infill holes near the resource, but we're trying to incrementally expand the size of the resource through drilling on sections and doing these step outs. So again, we're getting wide intercepts with good grades. Some intercepts are getting a little bit narrower as we get to the edge of the basin, but it's still holding together nicely, and we'll be continuing with that this year to better understand Torbert. And we're starting engineering studies and reworking the resource right now, and that's all part of this summer's work. So the second part, and what's great about this project is that we have that cornerstone resource that we're working on and getting more detailed infill work on, but we also have a very large exploration potential. So besides the Torbert deposit, there's also Wolf, which is about 3 kilometers to the north. This is a map showing radiometrics. We have the pink there shows a very high potassium alteration, which is indicative of volcanogenic heat flow. It's alteration associated with the mineralization. So you can see in this drawing, Torbert, it sits at the southern end of one of these large alteration halos, and Wolf sits at the southern end of the northern one. So our exploration strategy has been to follow up within this alteration trend, and drilling has yielded some nice vein intercepts as well as strong alteration. So we're vectoring in on more of these basins that could host another Torbert. And the reason that we're confident that there's probably another basin is because volcanogenic deposits quite often occur in pods, various pods. So you'll have 1 or 2 within different basins, all coming from a similar heat source and fluid flow. This is just a side view. So you're looking east. You can see Torbert dips down towards the north at about 35 degrees. And then we have depth potential going down plunge from Torbert itself. We do have a slug of sediments that comes outcrops down the center of the valley, and the favorable Hazelton horizon dips down underneath that. So we'll be looking underneath those sediments this year to see if we can continue finding some more of that alteration that doesn't show on the surface map, and hopefully tag into another basin that hosts the sulfides. So yeah, again, we're back at the geology map. For scale, the alteration trend was about 4.5 kilometers in length, all up the eastern side of the belt. On the western side, we also have a different style of mineralization, which we've just have a few holes drilled into, and we've been developing some models for that. And it's hosts some gold mineralization. So we have soil samples that are anomalous in gold and copper. And this trend comes down from Fury's Homestake Ridge, where they have 1 million ounces of gold defined. And it's a very strong higher temperature alteration associated with quartz vein stockworks and quartz feldspar alteration associated with intrusives at depth. We've hit a couple of intrusives at depth. So this would be an epithermal style, very silicious and quartz stockworks. So that's developing as something on the horizon as well, the gold potential to the east, or to the west, sorry. And besides the Dolly Varden volcanogenic and epithermal style mineralization, we have another property which was shown on the first slide off to the east. It's about 2.5 kilometers to the east of Torbert, Dolly Varden, and it's the Big Bulk project. It's a copper gold porphyry. We have the northern half of the porphyry. It's a very strong alteration. You can see on the hillsides there the rusty color. And Libero has optioned off the southern half of it, and we believe that they'll be drilling this summer and hopefully tag into that porphyry on the southern side. It hasn't been drilled yet. We do have some historic drilling on our property, and some nice gold and copper numbers, 0.3% copper, and over some nice widths, 60 to 120 meters. So that's something else that's on the horizon for us. We haven't focused on that too much because we've been busy on the silver, remodeling the silver trend and developing our exploration program for this year. Shawn, that's all on the geology. You want to continue?
Okay, Rob, thank you so much. And just on that note, last season, 2020, Dolly Varden was the only company working in and around Kinskutch. Of course, there was a flurry of activity to the north in and around Ascot. But, in the Kinskutch area around the Dolly Varden project this year, to our west, Fury has announced a 25,000 meter drill program. Hecla will be drilling to the east. As Rob mentioned, Libero will be drilling the big bulk. And also Goliath is also going to be drilling their big surprise. So we've got 5 companies, including Dolly Varden, that are going to be very active. So it's going to be a very exciting, very catalyst-driven season. In terms of community relations, we're a member of the BC Regional Mining Alliance. So this is a partnership between companies like Dolly Varden, Ascot, Skeena, GT Gold was a part of this organization until they were acquired by Newmont. And then the other partners are the BC government and the First Nations. And so we're in Nisga'a territory, and so we work together with the Nisga'a and with the BC government to promote the area, to let all investors know that whether it's permitting or access to work, these properties are open for business, and we employ a third of our staff is from the Nisga'a Nation. So we're working together to consciously explore, develop, and mine these rich ore bodies. And it's a tremendous partnership that's crucial and a pillar. And all investors should know that the Golden Triangle is open for business, and we've got that partnership in place. So I'll just leave you with the fact that if you're looking for exposure to silver, this is a company that is unlike a lot of its peers in Argentina, where there's questions about getting capital out of the country. Looking at our peers in places like Bolivia or recently with recent election results in Peru. This is safe jurisdiction silver. This is high grade silver. We've got an experienced management team with a track record of successful M&A transactions. We're well capitalized, and we've got the right type of shareholders that are going to that understand the big opportunity here, the historic relevance of where these metals are relative to other asset classes, and there's just tremendous upside. And if we look at some of the other examples in the neighborhood, companies like Skeena, who have reawakened Eskay Creek. We are in the early stages of reawakening the Dolly Varden project, and this is the first inning still. So this is a tremendous opportunity. I appreciate the opportunity to present this and high level introduction to the audience here, and I look forward to coming back and with detailed exploration plans, with drill results, and our high level goals for this year is to take our budget, to take our capital, and to advance Torbert. And as we're advancing Torbert, as we're expanding and extending Torbert, we had a successful season in 2020 where we expanded and extended Torbert with very high grade silver results over big meters. We'll also be looking at coming up with a new discovery. So it's we're fully financed, and from there, I think I'll take it back to you, Dasha, for questions.
Great, thank you so much. Yeah, so now's a great time to jump right into questions. So if you do have one, please submit them now. But to kick things off, what attracted you to work for Dolly Varden Silver?
That's a great question, Dasha. Thank you. So yeah, I've been working with Dolly Varden since February of last year, and what attracted me to take the job as the CEO and to come over into the company was all of the things that we touched on in the presentation today. The uniqueness of the ore body, the fact that it was a pure silver play, the location, the fact that it was not in a country that traditionally hosted these types of deposits, but also when looking at the area specifically and looking at mines like Eskay Creek that have produced 200 million ounces of 2,000 gram per ton silver, SK produced a lot of gold, and there's a lot of gold left in that deposit today. But what excited me about the opportunity at Dolly Varden is the pure silver, is the high grade nature of it. But this is probably one feature of a much larger system that's going to contain a lot of gold, a lot of copper, and a lot more silver.
Great, thank you so much. So Enyo has a question. They're asking, what is a reasonable metric for determining the value per share of Dolly Varden? And is it ounce per share or value per ounce per share?
Well, that's a really great question. Before I answer the question, I just want to say not all ounces are created equal. So depending on the grade, like we could probably put, a lot more ounces on paper, but they'll never be mined. So it can be a very misleading metric. And it's why you have such a vast range of companies that are trading at pennies per ounce in the ground, and companies that are trading at, tens of dollars per silver ounce in the ground. So right now, in Canadian dollar terms, we're around $2 per ounce in the ground. And historically, in bull markets, we've seen companies trade at about, if you're trying to find an average in a bull market, a silver company can trade at about $3.30 US per ounce in the ground. So, the opportunity here, though, and that's for a company that just has ounces in the ground. Then if you're factoring, if this is an opportunity that was in production, if we take it back into production, then the metrics and the valuations change. But to answer your question, right now we're around $2 an ounce in the ground Canadian.
Got it. Thank you. Next question is, what is the mineralogy and recovery of the silver in the resource estimate?
The recoveries are fairly high, over 80 to 85%. The mineralogy we have native silver, and we have parargyrite, so ruby silver, and some sulfur salts, so silver sulfur salts and they're all quite easily liberated. And we try and call it a volcanogenic deposit. Most people say VMS, but we don't have a lot of massive sulfides. So in terms of our waste rock, we're not going to be generating a lot of PAG material because our sulfide content is quite low. So it's a fairly clean ore and very marketable with that regard. In terms of our neighbors and other deposits in the area, we don't have any toxics involved with our ore. So it's a good product.
All right, thank you. Another question here is, does synergistic merger make sense so that you have scale for a processing plant to be built?
100%. Regionally, with so much endowment, and this goes back to your first question of what attracted me to this opportunity. If you look at this, if you look beyond our borders, I believe we have a mining district here between the endowment that lie to the west and to the east. And so 100%. And that is the great opportunity here at Dolly Varden, where you don't have an entrenched management team. This is not a lifestyle company. We are here to advance the project. We are here to bring jobs to the area. And we're very, very open. I can happily say that we've signed 20 confidentiality agreements over the last 15 months. And, so we are very, very, very open to M&A opportunities. It's my belief and philosophy that there's two ways we can grow inventory. One is with the drill bit, and the other is through M&A.
All right, thank you. So why do you believe silver is an attractive investment opportunity?
I don't know if we have enough time on this to go through all that, but high level, for me, it's the only asset that I know that is trading lower today than it was in 1980. And you look at copper, you look at real estate, you look at collectible cars, you look at anything that has retained value or has got a limited supply. everything is trading, magnitudes higher. And then if you start factoring in monetary policy and even reported CPI inflation, it's for me and for anybody who argues that the 1980s high was somehow manipulated by the Hunt brothers and not a true high. All we have to do is look at the 2011 high, which matched the 1980s high, and so I look at, and then if you get into specifics of supply and demand, we've got less silver being produced on an annual basis. So you've got falling supply, and I don't know if anybody else in your audience here has tried to buy any physical silver, but it is very, very, very difficult, and it's a long wait list, and so there's many reasons in silver. There's really no substitute for silver. Silver is very special, and if anybody wants to know why there's no substitute, I would just encourage you to visit Keith Neumeyer's website at First Majestic website, and they go through a great case for silver.
Great, thank you. Yes, we have a few more questions here. Ralph is asking, when do you stop exploring and start extracting?
Well, yeah, that's a good question, and one I assume a lot of people look at with these exploration companies that have an asset. We're taking the approach that we'll never stop exploring. That's the nice thing about this project, is that we can keep exploring. We have the potential. Yet Torbert, we're going to start advancing that on the engineering aspect. So it's a long process sometimes to get something into production. You have to have your permitting and your engineering work done, and some drilling to make sure that you know what exactly is there. But the beauty of our project is that we can keep exploring at that same time. So that lull in exploration and upside potential won't happen as we're developing Torbert into a possible exploitation scenario.
And Dasha, if I could chime in just for a comment there, and again, this goes back to your first question of what attracted me to this opportunity. What has attracted me to the sector, and Dolly specifically, is the lack of exploration that companies have done in the last 10 years, and the lack of quality development projects that are in the pipeline for majors. And so we've got something that's very, very, very unique and rare. If you look at our peers and you look at their resource estimates, it's very, very difficult to find a company that has this amount of ounces at this grade in a project that we know works, in terms of we know we can separate the metal from the rock because it is a past producer. And we know there's a willingness for the community to move this project along because there is so much activity in the area.
Great, thank you. All right, so Ken is asking, how many meters of drilling are planned for this year?
Well, we're still finalizing our exact plans, but we're looking at a phased program. So our phase one is probably 8,000 to 10,000 meters. And the reason we're having a phased approach is that as we have successes in our first phase, we can start developing the meters on the second phase. So, and that's on both fronts, on the exploration as well as the Torbert side of things. So we'll be starting in at Torbert and just getting our definition of the edges a little bit better, and checking out some extensions before moving to phase two, which is more sort of engineering and infill and upgrading type drilling. So yeah, we're looking at 8,000 to 10,000 meters right now, and we'll be starting within a month.
All right, perfect. Well, that is all the time we have for today. Thank you so much, Shawn and Robert, for taking us through your presentation and the live Q&A. And thank you to everyone who joined and submitted questions. If you do think of another question after this summit, we will be emailing out a short survey, and the Dolly Varden team will be happy to follow up with you directly. And you can also find more information at their website, dollyvardensilver.com. But I'll pass it back to Shawn and Robert for the final word.
Just for me, thank you for the opportunity. Thanks, Dasha. And I would just encourage anybody who, if they have any questions or would like to get in touch with us, you can email me directly at sk@dollyvardensilver.com. And all of our contact information is on the website.